Welcome to the latest Motley Fool Scoreboard. I'm on in Chocolate. We've got longtime fools, Lou Whiteman and Jim Gillies, giving a 1 to 10 rating to a company Jim really wanted to do. It's VITL Farms, ticker symbol VITL. Rate the strength of VITL Farms business, including factors like industry and competition. 10's invincible, 1 is hopeless. Both of you have 7s, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, how do you not get excited about a conscious capitalism specialty eggs manufacturer and distributor who in every earnings release publishes a picture of their quote-unquote bird of the quarter? Just absurd level stuff. But no, they've had really great growth, near 29% on the top line, near 40% on the bottom line as measured by EPS since 2020. They've seen profitability expand nicely over that period as well, with gross margin up 3 points since 2020, while everything else is basically doubled. Every other margin is basically doubled. Can't really quibble with the numbers. I can quibble with the fact that this is a premium product that I would expect would suffer some sales breakdown during more expensive times, because it is $8 and $9 and $10 for a carton of eggs versus say $3 at the regular eggs. So that potential knocks down my score a little bit.
Yeah, Jim has it exactly right.
Boo.
Okay, it's sustained growth, concerns about consumer spending. The other thing is, reputation is a two-sided sword. VITL plays into the idea that invest in the future you want to see, sustainable farming, ethical treatment of animals. That's great. And I believe them. Just this week, though, there was an internet meme taking shots at them, what they feed their chicken and all of that. It looks like noise. I don't think any one thing, it's not like a bare thesis, but it's a reminder when you invest in these sorts of companies, narrative matters and stains are hard to erase. So just kind of brought down my score a bit.
The Chocovaloo families is a VITL Farms family, at least when I'm not doing the shopping. And I don't think we'll stop being so. But they're pretty good, as far as I can tell. For management, a 10 is Warren Buffett, a 1 is Homer Simpson. Lou's at a 7. Jim, you're at an 8.
I am, mainly because I like the CEO and the founder together own about 16% of the shares, heavier on the founders, and I'm going to point out, they've both been there long-term. They've both been driving the long-term growth strategy. They've built the numbers that I quoted earlier, and that the founder is, some people might think this is inconsequential. Some might think it's controversial, but very big into conscious capitalism. This is it's a certified B Corp, which is it's a company that meets high standards for social and environmental performance, transparency, and accountability. Basically, think of all stakeholders beyond just shareholders. He's very much an evangelist for conscious capitalism. So I like that.
Yeah, I was probably a little low with 7 because you're right. I mean, the results speak for themselves. Jim talked about that already, doing a great job building the business. I kind of get caught up again with some of these just kind of holier than thou, but it's great if they mean it. I have trouble with like my cynical filter. And so maybe that like weighs me a bit, but it's actions speak louder than words. The actions here are very good. So a lot to like.
For financials, a 10 is a fortress, a 1 is yikes. Both of you have 8s, Jim.
Yeah, just excellent past numbers. They've got some pretty bold plans for a future expansion and growth. They've recently expanded their what they call Egg Central Station capacity by 30% after doubling it back in 2022. They're building a second Egg Central Station, which I guess would mean it's not this central station, which should be online next year, which will boost revenue another 45 to 50%. They've recently finished an ERP implementation, which is good because it usually weighs on stock returns when they're doing it. They're about $710 million in trailing sales and aiming for $1 billion next year, $2 billion by 2030 with continued margin expansion. They're cash rich, debt free. The reason why I've got them at 8 instead of higher is that pretty much all of their free cash flow is being used to build the business, as Lou said. But that's a very minor knock. But there's nothing really left over for shareholders yet.
Yeah, no, they're doing everything right. As Jim said, $2 billion a year by 2030. They did just under 200 in revenue, I think, in the last quarter. So that's a nice growth arc. We've already seen what they've done. My question is, can people afford the eggs? Can the reputation hold up? I have zero questions about their financials.
All right, Lou, let's move on to valuation. How well will Vital Farms stock do over the next 5 years? How safe is it? Keep in mind a 10 is a sure thing, a 1 is a lottery ticket.
This is not an expensive stock for all the hype. It's less than 2 times sales, pretty reasonable for their growth rate. I think 21 times earnings or so. I am going to lean in and say that yes, the consumer will hold up and they can continue to grow. Again, I think it's macro factors that scare me, not the business. But my safety score is only a 4 because I do think there are those potential headwinds, the things they can't control. So I'm bullish that they can continue on path, but I'm also want to acknowledge the kind of things beyond their control that might stand in the way.
Yeah, and I'm in the camp that revenue growth forgives a lot of sins. You can have a lot of valuation sins or other execution sins, but if you're still churning out 25+% revenue growth, you're probably going to erase a lot of that over time. The key being there over time, you can't look quarter to quarter. But I'm looking for five-year annualized returns in the 15+% range as well. My safety score is a little higher at a 6 instead of a 4, even though it's practically the exact same macroeconomic factors that Lou talks about are why I have them there. But the no debt and the growth entirely self-funded are useful to me, so I like that.
Thank you to both Jim and to Lou. They've given Vital Farms an excellent overall score of 7.5 out of 10 with no top-its. I might be putting this one on my watch list. Look out for a new scoreboard every market day at 7 p.m. Eastern. Next up is Garrett Motion. Till then, Fool on.
Make sure
That's right.
It's Jurassic Jackie.
Is that the current?
Yeah, that's the most recent. Channeling her inner dinosaur as she grips the rocky terrain with her talons.
That's fantastic.